Okay, today we're going to be talking about Rev.io Sync, and Sync is a unidirectional integration between a source and Rev.io. Sync is pulling the data from your switch into Rev.io to ensure that all of your items from your source are mapped to a service in Rev.io. The purpose of Sync is to reconcile revenue and mitigate risk for unbillable items on your switch in Rev.io. So we're going to start by going to the activity dropdown, over to provisioning, and down to the Sync option. This takes us to the Sync dashboard, and the Sync dashboard comprises of 3 tabs. We have Sources, Analysis, Dictionary. We'll start with the Source tab. So a source is any object that you've configured to Rev.io. For the example that we're using today, BroadWorks. We can also do this with other switches like Netsapiens and MetaSwitch today. And you can configure multiple sources in a single instance of Rev.io. The created date is when your source was configured or last updated. And then we also have 3 statuses that can be set here. Complete, failed, or running. Complete means that the data has been pulled down from the switch to Rev.io successfully. Failed means that data hasn't been pulled over successfully. And running means that you're actively pulling in the data. We also have nodes, which you can see here, there are 18. And a node is an item within the switch that will be matched with a service in Rev.io. So for example, the user has set up and utilizing BroadWorks Sync, as we're showing in this example, the node tree would include nodes like BroadWorks Enterprises, BroadWorks Users, and BroadWorks Groups. You can see that in the example we're about to show you. The second tab is Analysis. This shows all the sources that you currently have set up, and the tab gives you a snapshot of all the nodes that you have in the Sync product from the switch and how many are synced to the services in Rev.io. Sync means pulling data from the switch into Rev.io again, just to remind you. The Dictionary tab is how you match fields from your source to the service fields in Rev.io. You can configure what fields to match to the switch in Rev.io, and you can map as few or as many fields as you want from the source to the service type in Rev.io. You see some examples here. We have some contact information, some domains for service provider, enterprise, group, even some users here. So let's go into the heart of Sync now by drilling into the source. So on the left, we have 2 nodes here, and we'll click into both and expand down this hierarchy. And you can see that we have 2 locations under major enterprise. We have a headquarter and a branch enterprise. We'll expand the headquarters down a little bit more. When you expand the node, you can see more detailed information about the different components. So we'll drill into the headquarter example here and show you that there's a device, 2 users, and an auto attendant. You can tell based on the type you see. On the left-hand side, we have the source details, and on the right, we have the Rev.io details. So we'll click one of these examples, this device, where we can see source details. This is what's being pulled from BroadWorks, and then Rev.io details, how it's being matched over to Rev.io. This is a synced node. We have another example here of a specific user. And you can see the email is the identifier that can be different based on your configuration and how this is matched over to a user ID in Rev.io. And we can see some of the fields that were synced between the 2 as well. You can see source fields, Rev.io fields, and how they match. Let's also talk through an example of something that wasn't synced. And you can see these green check marks are indicating that the nodes were synced, and if it's gray, meaning that it's unsynced. So by drilling into this option, we can see that their source details are present, but there's no Rev.io details. So what Rev.io will do is it'll provide recommendations. It will provide you a list of options. You can use the recommendation, you can create a brand new service, or you can link this to an existing service that's already set up inside of your instance of Rev.io. So each source field can be synced with Rev.io, and that being said, you can see that the user that has some fields that aren't synced, but the node is synced. So we wanted to make this integration configurable for each client and how they use the switch in Rev.io. So there was some examples from some clients where it wasn't absolutely necessary that every single field needed to match up for that to be considered sync. So that's what we've configured here in this example. So up at the top, there's also a bulk action. And this will allow you to match services at the top. This links all unsynced nodes to the respective recommended Rev.io services. And we want to make sure that you understand that it is a bulk action. Make sure you're careful when using this feature. So up here at the top, we have a bulk action option that allows you to sync services across all of your stores from each of your nodes, kind of a bulk action utility. And to kind of wrap things up, Rev.io Sync was designed to eliminate revenue leakage between a switch and billing in Rev.io to reconcile any discrepancies. So these checks and balances will ensure that information is kept up to date and customers are billed for what they are configured to use.